Excellent. Welcome to the Somerville Job Creation and Retention Trust meeting of November 21st, 2022. My name is Vicki Coitz. I am the managing trustee of the Job Creation and Retention Trust. I call this meeting to order at 6:07 p.m. On July 16, 2022, Governor Baker signed into law an act relative to extending certain state of emergency accommodations, which allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely. This act extends the expiration of those provisions pertaining to the open meeting law to March 31st, 2023. This meeting of the Job Creation and Retention Trust will be conducted via remote participation. This session will be recorded and will be a public record. I will now ask the board members to confirm they are in attendance in alphabetical order. Thomas Bent.
Present.
Vicki Coitz, present. Silvana Dinka. See her yet, okay. Colleen Moran.
Present.
Rachel Nedcarney.
Present.
JT Scott, not jumped on. Annika Van Eaton.
Present.
And Rand Wilson.
Present. Could you hear me?
Excellent. Yes, thank you. Okay, we have a quorum. I will now ask the city staff to present a few house rules about using the technology.
Thank you, Vicki. Hello, my name is William Blackmer, and I am the Workforce Development Coordinator and also serve as staff to the Job Creation and Retention Trust. When an agenda item is being presented, presentation materials received ahead of time will be displayed on the screen. When the chair asks for public comment, please use the raise hand function if you would like to speak, and you will be unmuted one by one and given 2 minutes to speak. Trust members, all votes must be roll call votes with a motion and a second. The chair will call on each board member for a yes/no vote in alphabetical order. Any questions or comments typed into the chat boxes in the control panel of your screen will be part of the public record in accordance with open meeting law. As Vicki mentioned, we have many important items on tonight's agenda, so I'm going to pass it back to her for the first agenda item.
Great, thanks, William. The first item on the agenda is to review and approve the September 20th and October 25th meeting minutes. I'll leave the floor open for a few moments in case folks have any edits or comments or questions. Okay. Seeing none. Folks comfortable with somebody proposing a motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make a motion. I'll second the motion.
Excellent. We have a motion on the floor to approve the September 20th and October 25th meeting minutes, and by Rand Wilson, and a second by Tom Bent. I'll do the roll call vote. Tom Bent?
Yes.
Vicki Coitz, yes. Silvana Dinka, don't have her yet. Colleen Moran?
Yes.
Rachel Nedcarney?
Yes.
JT Scott, not here yet. Okay, Annika Van Eaton?
Yes.
And Rand Wilson?
Yes.
We have 6 yes votes. The motion passes to approve the September 20th and October 25th meeting minutes. I'll turn it back over to William to review the second item on the agenda.
Thank you. So the second item on the agenda is to review received and estimated linkage fees for 2022. I'm hoping you can see the screen that I've shared right now to show where things currently stand. We have not received any funds since the last update. However, the trust currently has just over $700,000 in uncommitted funds. These uncommitted funds will not be negatively impacted by any of the distribution votes that are taken tonight, since those funds are already set aside prior to the release of that latest RFP. So yeah, that's the current balance, and we have a few different projects that we're thinking we might receive funds from in the beginning of the next year, if not before then. So I will move us along to the next item, unless there are any questions. No? Okay. So I'm actually going to open up a different version of this. So the next item on the agenda is to review the current status of 2021-2022 investment priorities. As the board moves closer to finalizing its 2022-2023 rankings tonight, now is a great time for us to review the status of the 2021-2022 investment priorities. So I will be reviewing them by the Talent Equity Playbook strategy. So we're going a little bit out of priority order, but going in the order of the screen. So for priority 1, the trust has fully funded Justice Start, AACA, and Perscolas. They were all awarded funding to continue services into 2023, and industry-specific trainings remains on the priority list for 2022-2023. For priority 2, Child Care Career Advancement Initiative, the trust did not receive proposals for these funds. So I am recommending, and will mention again in the memo later in this meeting, that the trust reconsider how these funds are spent, since this has been part of 2 RFPs and has not been picked up so far. So moving along to priority 4, Bunker Hill was funded for their second year of their Somerville English Language Learning Program. And tonight the board will be voting on distribution of up to $750,000 based on the responses we got to the most recent RFP. Again, this is on our priority list for 2022-2023 as well. For priority 5, the professional development practitioner grants are now available. It's great news that that money is out there. I've received 1 inquiry so far from an organization, so we're just starting to have conversations about types of programs that might be a good fit for their staff, and we're going to be making another push in the beginning of the year to remind organizations that those funds are available. Also with priority 5, the job training scholarship fund. So there will be a vote tonight on the distribution, selecting the organization that will be the administrator for this fund. For priorities 6, which involves the municipal apprenticeship and municipal jobs training program, post-placement support, and digital literacy. Those are all ongoing priorities. as well as the supporting staffing to facilitate coordination. All of those are included in the 2022-2023 list. Moving down to strategy 2, priority 7, the job quality HR training. Funds have been set aside for this, but I'm going to recommend a reconvening of the subcommittee to determine how the funds are to be spent. For priority 3, this training was completed in 2022 and is also included in the 2022-2023 priority list for wage theft and workers' rights. Priority 9 was not funded by the trust in 2021-22. And then finally going down to priority 8 in strategy 4, this rapid response strategy was completed. So this is a long-winded explanation just to show kind of the trust's record this year in terms of projects that we were able to fund and make awards for, and then noticing that most of the items that were not funded this year have made it onto our priority list for the 2022-2023 year.
Congratulations, board. I think that this is a fantastic accomplishment. So thank you all for working so well together to, follow our investment priorities and to make them happen. And thanks so much to William and Jen for all of your staffing of getting these investment opportunities out there and getting the investments made.
So related to the red items that are on this list, for item number 4 on the agenda, we do have 3 distribution votes that are proposed. In advance of tonight's votes, the board was sent a memo regarding the responses that were received to the WFD 23.1, the latest RFP. And this memo discussed funding distribution recommendations. As a reminder, $56,080 was available for administration of the Job Training Scholarship Fund. And then we had a total of $750,000 was available for contextualized English language and high school equivalency test preparation education for adults and English language learners. And then thirdly, $300,000 was available for the Child Care Career Advancement Initiative. So before we get to the votes, I wanted to see if the board members had any questions regarding the memo prior to the votes.
Vicky, yeah, I had a question. Can you pull up the memo, William?
Yes, give me just 1 second. Are you able to see it on my screen? Or on the screen? Great.
It's teeny, but we can see.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
if
can
you
make
could
it a
scroll
little
down
larger.
to the second page.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just so everyone knows, there is also an option if you have a mouse with a scroll, you can
Okay.
like use that
Oh.
to zoom in further. And there's a zoom button on the top of your screen as well if you want to zoom in closer for anything.
Thank you. That's great.
My question was on number 4. And it looks like staff's recommended not to distribute money to the Asian American Civic Association for their EPIC training program under this RFP. And I think from what I could see was the reason was that the amount of money that would be per resident. Now, I know we've had some other high cost ones that we've done before. I believe Just to Start was high. What I didn't have enough information here was they're gonna, I know it looks like Tufts would be hiring all these people for a 90-day introductory work period. So it's hard for me to make a judgment here because I don't know how much they're gonna be making during that period. And then if Tufts hires them, what would their salaries be? Because I think that's an important part of this, because I know the other awards that I think that we're doing tonight is not, and correct me if I'm wrong, but not like specific like job training that they can get this training and go out and get a job. So that's my concern by, not awarding this. And I just want to get a little bit more information on it before we make any decisions. So salary, what's the salary that they would make, and what's the actual salary, like for during the 90-day work period, and what would be a salary that they would make if they were hired full time, and then projected further down the line, because to me that's like really important as to what we're doing.
Yeah, those are great requests. Those are great questions. I did not see any information in the proposal that indicated a pay rate for the training or an estimated rate for the hired individuals. Regarding the other types of proposals received, so all the 3 of the 4 proposals were for this contextualized ESOL and adult education piece, including this one. So they were not, we were not sending out a request for industry-specific training programs. However, this program does still build in contextualized ESOL and job readiness for 4 weeks. That's delivered by AACA. So that had it fall under, within the criteria of what the RFP was asking for. And I think comparing to, so I think it's, in comparing to Just to Start, I think it's a little bit of an apples to oranges comparison, just because Just to Start is the industry specific training that's about 8.5 months of class time, and then the job coaching that happens after finishing the class, whereas this program was 4 weeks contextual, and then 4 different courses that were happening, I think spanning from 1 day to maybe a few days per course at Tufts Medicine. So I thought
This also,
that.
oh, sorry, William.
No,
This
that's
also doesn't identify which roles people would move into after they finish that training. EPIC is, sort of like using Outlook or something when you're on the clinical side. So you could be in any kind of role and use EPIC. So they don't really say where people would go into, the food service people use it, the environmental services people use it, as well as nursing and whatnot. So it's very big and broad.
And that's why again, I tend to want to lean towards giving money out to programs or training that will give people an actual, there's a goal here, and I know EPIC, I know all the different hospitals, they all use it. And I know, obviously, for Tufts to be involved, they must be, I'm sure they're looking for more and more people to get into this, right? So I would love to get more information from them, and maybe also then, ask questions about, well, why is the amount per pupil at $14,000 if it's a 4-week, program? So I would like to see more information on this before, a vote on this particular piece was done. Again, it's funny, I do a lot with the Cambridge Health Alliance. I was on their boards for years, and I know they use Epic also. And talking to somebody, because I was talking to somebody about this the other day over there, and they're actively looking for more and more people. It's a big problem out there, trying to get trained people. So that was my only concern here, was that, I think we need a little bit more information to explain the cost, and I'd love to have a conversation between AACA and Tufts to see exactly, more details on this.
Rachel, Ned Carney, and then Colleen.
I actually have a question for both Colleen and Tom. Since you know this EPIC program much better than I do you have a sense if there were an EPIC, is there an EPIC certification that is transferable, or do you know if each hospital is doing it individually?
It's sort of, it's just there's not a certification. People just kind of go in and use it. Like it's a longitudinal medical record. So like everything, if you go to the hospital once, like your whole history will be all in Epic. So it's really just sort of a big electronic medical record. So people use it from different angles. Physicians use it, the pharmacy uses it, everybody who kind of touches your care will use it. And it is a barrier to entry to not know Epic, but this isn't training people beyond getting in there and using it, but like for what job? So this sort of, it's just sort of a like, yes, I've had 4 weeks of EPIC training and then I could hop into something else, but it doesn't seem that it's got sort of that next purpose for it.
Just in the summary I'm reading, if in the summary says if participants become EPIC certified, they'll have the opportunity to work full time. So it sounds like there is some kind of EPIC certification here from what I see in the summary line.
Yeah, I don't think we do training, but I don't know that everybody gets certified, but maybe this is just to get them a certification for job hunting purposes.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so William, it sounds like we need to follow up with them with Tom's questions, but also ask them if they can bolster up the opportunity to apply for a next job. What would that be more specifically?
Yep.
And like what the salary ranges would be and all that,
Right.
Because if the salary is low, it doesn't make sense, whatever, but.
And just to clarify for the board, one thing that was not clear to me, because there's a lot of information here, but the RFP had a cap of $750,000 on it. So if we fund $500,000 to Bunker Hill, that means we could only fund either Scale or AACA. So William was kind of weighing which of the applications were basically the strongest two. So that's another reason why AACA didn't quite make it to the suggested recommendation for getting funded. But it sounds like we don't want to close the door on them. We'll keep the door open and get some more clarification. And then as funding becomes available, we may be able to consider them for future funding purposes. Did anybody else have any other questions or thoughts on any of the three distributions that are recommended for tonight? The Job Training Scholarship Fund, which I know we've talked about a lot, but feel free to ask any other questions before we take that vote, or Bunker Hill or Scales programs.
Like I said, not, I
Okay,
have just not a,
Bobby.
not a,
Oh, yeah.
oh, I have not a question, but just a comment that I'm just so surprised there wasn't any applicant for the childcare.
Actually, William and Jen
Oh.
has some great intelligence on that.
Oh.
William, you want to share how the state undermined us with all their funding?
Oh,
Yeah, so
Frame it like
there's
that. I think we're just doing it right now.
yeah, there are a lot of great resources available through the Commonwealth right now for employers looking to upskill their workforce in the childcare industry. So yeah, as Vicky put it, this kind of threw a little bit of a wrench in our RFP because I think about 14 million is available at the state level. Yeah, I think that impacted things, and I think another angle we've been thinking about as well is just that there's kind of a marketing challenge right now with that industry and getting individuals in the door, and that's something that wouldn't necessarily be solved by the RFP that we put out. So I think it's definitely an area still to think about, but I think there might be some other ways we can make positive impacts on the talent pipelines for that industry.
Rand?
I was just hoping that Cass was going to apply because of their Head Start program, and they have 35 Head Start childcare workers. I don't know if that's the kind of program we're talking about, but it would be great if we could do something. I mean, there's only, how many programs are there in Somerville? I know there's lots of the mom and pop programs, but what about the more established commercial programs? I don't know. I just thought that one Somerville candidate would emerge.
me too.
Such an important issue. Give them the state money and our money.
I know.
And
Exactly.
and these. I mean, we have an expert on our board with Savanta, and I don't know. It's just crazy that nobody came. But maybe we can. Does that mean that money is going to disappear, or can we kick the can down the road and use it sometime in the future for the same purpose if the need arises or somebody's interested in applying?
So I think I think that also warrants, definitely warrants discussion of, I know that there's a subcommittee group that was prepared to review those applications. So I think we can discuss that. But I mean, with the current availability of funding from the state for practically the same use categories, I'd be concerned that we're going to have the same issues in the foreseeable future unless there's a change to the scope.
Yeah, I think I would recommend that the committee come back together at some point. The staff do some research on what is there additional need in this industry in Somerville outside of the scope that we had originally framed for the RFP, and then have the committee come together and discuss if we want to repurpose that funding for to meet whatever other need might be out there that our group can meet. And if it's all about marketing and trying to talk people into going into childcare, I'm not sure if that's something that the board can use our funding for or not. We'd have to discuss that. But if basically what I'm saying is that if there's nothing that we can do in childcare to really help the situation at this point, then we could reallocate that money for another purpose. We've got a whole list of 14 other things that we're going to be re-voting on tonight for our list of investment priorities. So we'll definitely have the money available to invest in something related to employment and job training. I think it stays in the child care pot for the moment to see if we can help that industry in another way.
Tom, I got a question for you on that. How would, the CTE program at the high school has a very good child care program. How would they, would they be eligible to apply for funds to assess them with their training?
I would think so. I mean, we fund Scale and they're part of the city apparatus. And we were considering funding a 13th year of the high school. So I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Was the RFP, so one of the questions I have are these RFPs going out to all the different players in the city, like the CTE program specifically, I guess. But then like the Y has a big child care program, like Rand said, CAS does. How are we getting that RFP out? Are we sent, and I know that the providers wouldn't normally be doing training, but they may know some of the providers that they're using for training, because what I'd like to do is I can talk to the director up at the CTE to see if he's even aware of the funding for, and that they would be eligible to apply for some of this,
Yeah, so we have a pretty lengthy list of organizations that we reached out to with funding opportunities, thinking about who provides these types of trainings. So I'm definitely happy to revisit that list, and also, ongoing, I'm happy to take recommendations that the board has if there are other parties that should be on there. I've written down the ones that are mentioned here. So yeah, I feel pretty good about the list that we have reached out to, but I'm definitely open to getting more input on that as well.
William, do you know if anything was sent directly to the program up at the high school?
I don't know about like a specific teacher or instructor in that program, but definitely we communicated with the high school about the funds. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, typically what will happen there, if it doesn't get to the right people, it doesn't happen. And there's a lot going on up there. We don't have a permanent superintendent. We don't have a permanent principal at the high school right now. So I can talk to Jim, who's the CTE director, and just to see if they're aware of it. And I'll get back to you on that. So let me follow up with them. I'm just curious to see how all that would work, and if they even realize that they could probably apply for some of that funding,
Great. And Rand, would you want to reach out to CAS to see if they looked at the funding and why they didn't apply?
I will.
Thank you.
Sure.
And then William will start to do some research on, what other gaps there may be in this industry that we might be able to help fill around the state's investment, the Commonwealth's investment. Okay, great. So if there's no other discussion on any of the investments that we have discussed making, and now that we are suggesting distributing funding for, I would be looking for a motion, and the language is in the agenda. A motion to fund, let's just take them one by one so we can get the roll call vote. So the Job Training Scholarship Fund, does somebody want to make a motion on that one?
This is Annika. I would like to make a motion to distribute $56,080 to the Somerville Community Corporation, SCC, to administer the Job Training Scholarship Fund.
Second.
Colleen seconds, great. Okay, I'll do the roll call vote. Tom Bent,
Yes.
Vicki Coates, yes. And Silvana, I don't think has come on yet. Colleen Moran,
Yes.
Rachel Ned Carney,
Yes.
JT Scott, not yet. Annika Van Eaton,
Yes.
Oh. Rand Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, we have 6 out of the 9 board members. That is the supermajority that we need. The motion passes. Okay, somebody want to make a motion to fund Bunker Hill Community College?
Well, I guess I'll make a motion to fund Bunker Hill Community College. What's
Wording.
the matter with everybody out there tonight?
It's the exact language is in the agenda.
Yes, as written in the agenda. Thank you. That's a
We
motion.
have a motion. We have a motion to distribute $500,000 to Bunker Hill Community College for the Somerville English Language Learning Program. Do we have a second?
Second.
Rachel Ned Carney, seconds. Excellent. Another roll call vote.
Becky, I just got a question.
Yep.
So by making these votes, we would not be waiting to hear back from AACA for this go around then, right? On their proposal?
Right. So we'll be following up with AACA with those questions. And then if we have additional funding and we get satisfactory answers to the questions, we can consider funding AACA.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you good?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Yep, so we have a motion and a second to distribute $500,000 to Bunker Hill Community College for the Somerville English Language Learning Program. I'm going to do the roll call vote. Tom Bent,
Yes.
Vicki Coates, yes. Colleen Moran,
Yes.
Rachel Ned Carney,
Yes.
Annika Van Eaton,
Yes.
and Rand Wilson.
Yes.
Yes, excellent. Again, 6 out of 9, we have this minimum supermajority necessary to approve the motion and distribute the funding to Bunker Hill. And then the final vote for tonight, I'll just go ahead and make it, is I move to distribute $232,300 to the Somerville Center for Adult Learning Experiences, or SCALE, for the Literacy Academy for Contextualized ESOL and ABE High-Set Preparation Education for Adult Learners. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we got Colleen and Tom Bent on the record as making a second to that motion. I'll do the roll call vote. Thomas Bent,
Yes.
Vicki Coates, yes. Colleen Moran,
Yes.
Rachel Ned Carney,
Yes.
Annika Van Eaton,
Yes.
and Rand Wilson.
Yes.
Yes. 6 out of 9, we have the supermajority necessary to approve that motion, and it has passed. Okay, excellent. Thank you, everyone. Now we turn it back over to William to talk about our next year's worth of ranked investment priorities.
Yes. So thanks, Vicki. And just to note, I will follow up with all 4 applicants tomorrow, just because the holiday is right around the corner, to let them know of the decisions and just continue to carry on these conversations related to their applications. So for the 2022-2023 ranked investment priorities, I had gone ahead and shared a spreadsheet with the board that compiled all resident feedback, which included comments from the annual meeting, as well as Jamboard posts from the annual meeting. Additionally, it had the results of our public survey and a tentative priority list that the trust voted on in September. So I had a chance to also look through this compiled document and pull out a few trends that I noticed. Overall, there was generally positive feedback regarding the tentative priority list. In both the annual meeting and the survey, there was broad agreement with the wide range of investment ideas. A few areas where there was particularly strong support was for the continued funding of wage theft and workers' rights programming, English language learning, English language learning programming, and industry-specific job training programs. There was some feedback that there was confusion, and this came up a little bit in the meeting, confusion about the role of the staff coordinator position. So this is something we should work on maybe making clear in the future. Other feedback recommended ways to improve and expand community outreach regarding available programs, involving unions, providing more programs for youth, expanding the range of training programs that are funded, and continuing to provide support services to training and education participants. So with all of that being said, tonight we will be undergoing a re-ranking of the priority list, asking the board members to keep in mind the feedback that has been received. Before this re-ranking, I invite board members to ask any questions they have, or any discussion they would want to share regarding the priorities. And then once that discussion is wrapped up, I invite you all to open the Google Doc, which I will put in the chat for you as well. And I'll explain more once we get to that point. But are there any questions or any comments individuals want to share as the board re-ranks their priorities?
And I just wanted to quickly remind folks that in the October 25th meeting minutes on pages 4 and 5 is the full listing of the ranked priorities, the tentative list that we did in the September meeting. So as you're reflecting on the meeting of October 25th, you can look at that list and just see if there's, anything to add to the list or anything that you heard from the public meeting that amplifies anything on this list or reduces its importance. So just wanted to make sure you had the full resources available to you for this conversation. So Rand, did you have a reflection on the meeting?
Yeah, just there was a lot of support for somehow providing assistance to further a Green New Deal in Somerville. think you heard that from a number of people. It's not really clear how if you look at our playbook or you look at the kind of workforce development framework that we're in, it doesn't quite fit that neatly. In other words, the comments might have been a little bit well-intended, but not necessarily on point for the Jobs Trust. But I did hear it from a number of people, and it's something that we might want to think about as we're moving forward or as we adjust the playbook. I know that a lot of money is going to be coming into the city for some environmental investments to meet certain goals that are coming up, to be carbon neutral by a certain date. And this isn't my full area of expertise, obviously, but I did hear that, and I thought we should make a note of it.
Thank you, Rand. I heard that too, and the places that I connected that to our work is with the industry-specific job training programs. I thought that when we put out an RFP for that we could emphasize that, extra points could go to a provider who's providing clean energy jobs or retrofitting jobs, or, the types of jobs that would fit into a Green New Deal framework. I also thought that maybe the curriculum development and updated training materials, we could invest in clean energy curriculums under that investment. And then both the career exploration and readiness pre-training program, as well as contextualized education for adults and English language learners. Again, we could emphasize, clean energy type training programs, career readiness programs, and even possibly give extra points to encourage those types of programs to apply for RFPs.
Vicki, I knew you would have the answer. Those sound great. And, I think if we did that and then we could get it back to the public, I don't know how let's say next October, seems like a long time away, but, if next, and God forbid, I'm still on this board next October.
We'll see you next October, Rand.
In the audience. We'll all be wearing check shirts.
I didn't get the memo that we're all supposed to wear
Uh,
What's hilarious is
I email everyone, or it would have been a quorum. So we just kind of.
No, that's right. Conspiracy theory.
I gave my kids these checked shirts for Christmas, and then we posed all of us in checked shirts, so it's hilarious. Yeah, but if there's a way we can get back to the public with like how we listened to that and then brought those points into the selection of some grantees, that would be cool. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, so William, if you could note that, and we'll have it noted in the minutes too. We'll just follow up with that.
Yeah, put it in the minutes.
Tom?
Vicki, in order to do that though, wouldn't we need to kind of go out and survey the businesses that are actually in Somerville that are, providing those type of, services? I know, you have a hub down at Greentown Labs that's, designed, for, green technology. But there's companies like, I know one that's up in the Puma building up at Assembly called Spark Charge. Cutting edge type technology there. So I think the piece that we seem to be missing here is what I'm getting concerned about is we're giving out a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money that's actually, I see a direct line of giving somebody an actual job, a career, a job that they can call a career, and make $50, $60, $80, $100,000 on. we're spending a lot of money, which I think is definitely needed, obviously for ESL and contextualized ESL. But that seems to be where a majority of the money's going right now. And, I think what we may need to do is try to get those businesses at the table somehow to see what do they need, what kind of training should we be offering so that they'd want to hire people, again, keeping it all local as much as we can. So I think, and I understood because I heard it too at the public hearing, but I think a lot of people don't understand what our mission actually is, so that's just a concern that I have as a board member right now. And I think, I've had this theme from day one, right? I'm looking to get people, jobs that we could train them in and actually, have a career in, or get them started on the right path. And we've done a good job with some of it. We've had, the success with AACA with their programs just to start. So as one board member, I'd like to see more of that. And that's why I was questioning, the EPIC piece. Again, I'm looking at it as a pathway for people to get a career job. So, but I definitely heard what Rand heard also. I think too is having the public understand that, part of what this board should be doing is looking at what these future jobs are in Somerville and what those employers need to be able to hire Somerville people.
Right. Yeah, and I think it seems like it's been such a long time ago since we approved the investments for the specific industry-specific trainings like Just to Start and all the stuff at AACA and Perscolas as well. So yeah, I think it's important to make sure we remember those investments. And also it sounds to me like you're making a case for maybe even moving up in our rankings, the industry-specific job training programs. So that way we are making that tighter connection.
Yep.
Rachel?
I mean, I think to Tom's point, I wonder if, as we think about industry-specific job training programs, if there are some that are smaller and more focused, right? That maybe it's working with our providers to think about, what are those very niche things that lead to that job, as opposed to the broad trainings. I had an interesting conversation about the training necessary to be a videographer, right? And that that's a really good, it can be a freelance job, but it pays really well and it's a growing sector. But it's something that you need specialized training in, right? But anyone can learn, you can learn video editing, but you need specialized training in how to be a video editor. And then you can move it pretty quickly from that into the job. But it's super niche.
Yep.
Did others have, it seems like such a long time ago, but any other reflections on the meeting or when you kind of scrolled through the background materials that William shared in terms of the public comments and what we heard from the survey? Anything pop out to you?
I had a question for William on the people that were attended the meeting, where it seemed like a fair amount of them might have been previous service providers. How was the mix of the attendance of people there? I didn't see a lot of business people, attend, which I was disappointed in. But could you do you have an idea of, how many people were attended and where they came from? Well, there were groups that would actually be looking for money. So.
Yeah, I think there was definitely at the meeting itself, definitely participation from organizations that we funded in the past, organizations that may be interested in upcoming funding, and then we always share the opportunity with the developers that are contributing the linkage fees. So we had some good representation of those individuals in the room. I think that kind of some more diverse opinions came in via the survey for individuals that weren't able to attend the meeting itself. I think that's where we were hearing a little bit more from residents who may be, interested in training or may have had reservations for signing up for training in the past and wanted to make sure we were funding programs that they were interested in, and addressing wraparound services and some of the other barriers to entry that might exist. Yeah, I think it was a mix of who was in the room. I can definitely share back, the attendee list if people are interested in seeing that. I can send that out. I'll make a note of
I
that.
think that'd be good.
Rachel?
Just one response to that, Tom. I think I was really pleased that Adam Portney was able to join from the chamber. Yep. And I do think it would be great as we think more about chamber connections into the board as well, trying to expand that partnership and getting that business connection.
Yeah, I had talked to Adam ahead of time, so I knew he was going to be there. But I was disappointed, and I reached out to others, so I was, and I'm going to have a discussion with them because what I do get, tired of is businesses complaining that people aren't listening to us, and they don't show up when you ask them to. So I can defend them, but I can go after them too. And so now I'm in the mode of going after them because they like to complain sometimes, and then they don't want to roll up their sleeves and do the work. So I'm kind of on a roll with that. So I'll be talking to them about that and seeing how, especially now, because I know there's I think a public hearing or a meeting coming up on increasing the linkage fees, for the jobs trust, right? So, and what I'll hear is all the complaining about that from the developers and everybody else, and and then I'm going to tell them, well, we had a meeting, you were invited, and you didn't show up. So, I can give it, and I can give it both ways. So I plan on doing that. So, and then I'm going to be talking more to chamber members because I think there's definitely some businesses that could actually use the funding or the training that if they got out to us what they needed, I think would be invaluable, and that's where I've been frustrated is trying to get them to kind of articulate that and let us know. But that's a goal for this next upcoming round that I'm going to try to push pretty hard on from the chamber's end. So
excellent. Thank you, Tom.
To Rachel on that. So.
Okay, well, if there's no other reflections or thoughts coming from the public meeting of our last month's meeting, William, do you want to review the little treat you put in the chat for us?
Yes, so I have just tried sharing it on my screen as well, but please see if you are able to open up the link in the chat. I've shared it with editing permissions with everyone's email, so I'm hoping there are no hiccups there. But what I've done on this sheet is it looks similar to what we filled out in September. So what you will be doing is you'll be finding the tab at the bottom with your name on it. So I'll just go to Annika's for an example, and then Annika's already.
I started adding them up. Go to Vicky's. Go to Vicky's.
She's already working her way on it, but okay, I'll go to JT's. So the column C would list your September rankings for reference, and then tonight you'd be filling in column D with your updated rankings based on the discussion we've had and everything you heard in the meeting. So once you've done that, it will be populating into these new November rankings. So once again, you'll just be taking a look. You can take a look at what you previously responded with for rankings. You can also take a look at the composite, how the group as a whole ranked the priorities in September, and then we'll figure out what the new rankings are. So does anyone have questions?
So
Why
if
would
you were
my,
accepting-
sorry,
No, go ahead, Rand.
why would my opinion have changed from September? Because of the public meeting?
I would hope so. Yeah,
Possibly.
because of, possibly because of input from that meeting or discussion tonight, or the survey results, there might be, I'm not saying it has to completely change your order, but there might be some priorities you might see as more important than you ranked last time or less important. It doesn't have to be a huge sweeping shift unless there was something you heard in the meeting that you thought, wow, this really should be at the top of my list, and it's not.
Is there something, well, like, so contextualized or industry specific job training? I ranked it number 13. And
Mhm.
maybe if that could be, if that was potentially could fund a Green New Deal niche in the community
Mhm.
somehow for retrofitting, I could imagine putting that higher up. That's the
Yeah.
only.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a
I'll
good
do that.
example.
All right. It was 13 before, it's going up.
Great.
Fill it out. We're supposed to
yeah.
do this right now, huh?
If anyone has trouble opening the link, let me know. But yeah, we have time for you to enter in your November responses. We're starting to see it on the main sheet, and we'll see how things get re-ranked based on that.
William, it's Tom. So
Mhm.
one would be your highest ranked, obviously, right?
Yep. Yeah. One is your top priority, and then going down to 14 is the lowest priority.
Now, are we doing this tonight, or you just want it done this week?
If people have a chance to look at it well, actually, I mean, I will be reaching out to the board members that are not in attendance tonight. But I just figured if people have it open now, that might be the easiest time to fill it out. So
Yeah, let's give everybody about 5 minutes to fill it
yeah,
out tonight. If you
Yep.
need more time or you need to think about it some more, you can fill it out. William, what would be the deadline for completing it?
I'm going to say end of the day on Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. because I will be gone.
Getting ready to eat his turkey. Yeah, so let's just take a few minutes now to do it for those who like to just kind of check things off their list.
Vicky, I have to leave in 5 minutes, so I hope it doesn't impact the forum.
Well, you might want to hear about the board leadership update. Is it a hard you have to leave?
Well, I'm speaking at a forum. I'm at Suffolk Law School. I'm speaking at a forum at 7:30, and I'm upstairs. But I'd like to kind of pack up and go down there.
Okay, gotcha.
That's why I have
Perhaps we tackle that first and then come back to this.
Yeah,
And
yeah, why don't we do that?
And I'm having trouble getting into it, so I'd rather, and I wanted a little time to think about this. So I'd get it out to you tomorrow or the next day, William.
Yeah, I will reshare it with
Okay.
everyone tomorrow, and then just give the instructions there and the deadline for it. So we can move to number 6.
Great, thanks. So the board leadership update is I would like to step down as the managing trustee of the board. I will still be on the board, but there's a couple of reasons. One is I feel like you've had me as the managing trustee of this board for about 4 years now. And I think we've really laid a solid foundation. We've got good processes in place. We've got a good rhythm and momentum. But I always feel like it's healthy for a board to have new visionary leadership every once in a while. And the second reason is my husband has retired from the federal government as of October 8th, and we're going to be doing a lot more traveling. So I'm a little nervous that I'm not going to be able to keep up with the requirements of prepping well for the board meetings and making sure that we have everything laid out as clear as possible with William and Jen, so that way we have very smooth running meetings. I do plan to nominate Annika Van Eaton as the new managing trustee at our next meeting, but we would also need to have a co-managing trustee. So we wanted to share this news with you all as soon as possible, so that way folks could be thinking about whether A, you would like to step into the managing trustee role, because there will be a vote on that, or B, if you'd like to step into the co-managing trustee role. So that's the update. I don't know, Annika, did you want to say anything, or anybody else?
Vicki, you've done an outstanding job.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for everything.
We need to get the city to acknowledge your service. So that there should be a frame citation and a statue dedicated in your honor.
That's going a little far.
William,
Thank you, Rand. I
statue together.
appreciate that.
So Vicki, I've so appreciated your leadership as our chair, and I'm glad that you will, of course, still be on the board. And it's been a real pleasure to work with you as a co-managing trustee during this time.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy decision, but I just I think it'd be good to have some new leadership and new vision for the board.
Well, Vicki, thank you for your leadership, because you're the expert in all this. So that's really made our work a lot easier. And I think your suggestion for Annika is a great one to take over. So I'd definitely be in support of that. And then also congratulations to you and your husband with his retirement, and get out there and live a little, right?
Oh man, I know. Yeah, he's an early retiree, 56, and we're already starting. This is like our third trip since he retired on October 8th. So it's I'm having a hard day. Like when I wake up in the morning, where am I? So Rand, I just wanted to make sure that you heard that news. And also, maybe we should talk real quickly about planning for future meetings. I was going to suggest that we skip the December meeting to give ourselves a little break for the holidays and reconvene again in January. But does anybody see a reason that we should meet in December?
Great idea.
I think that sounds good.
Okay.
I make a motion to skip the December meeting.
I second that.
There we go.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you so much, Rand. Oh, I guess.
If that's the case, everybody should hopefully have a black and red checkered Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I expect to see everybody wearing their uniform at the next meeting. Have a wonderful
Thanksgiving
holiday.
memo.
See you later.
Good luck
Bye,
on your
Rand.
panel, Rand, and happy
Yeah, Rand,
holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving, Rand.
Happy
Thank you
Thanksgiving.
so much.
Thanksgiving.
And there
I
we
was
go.
wondering why he had a different background. Okay, so back to the spreadsheet. We'll all fill that out on our own time, but get it to William by Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will not have a December meeting. And I don't think I had any other additional items not reasonably anticipated by the chair. Does anybody else have any additional items?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Okay, and I think I will be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
I'll make-
adjourn.
I'll second that.
Excellent. Was that Colleen or Rachel who made the motion to?
Annika.
Was
It was Annika.
Oh, it's Annika, sorry. I was pulling up my paperwork and I'm surprised I didn't recognize your voice. We have a motion to adjourn from Annika and a second from Tom Bent. Let me find my roll call sheet here. Okay, Tom Bent, in favor?
yes.
Vicky, excellent. Vicky Coitz, yes. Colleen Moran?
Yes.
Rachel Ned Carney?
Yes.
Annika Van Eaton?
Yes.
Okay, we have 5 votes, and that is the majority we need, and the motion passes. Thank you, everyone, and get your spreadsheet votes in, and we will see you in 2023.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Happy
Have a
holidays,
great
everyone.
end of your year.
Yes,
Holiday.
happy holidays.
Take care.
Say happy travels.
Thank you.
Thank you. Same to everybody else.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.